The Senior Bowl is a week away, and Harold Fannin Jr., tight end from Bowling Green, is trying to prove that he is a first-round pick. How can he do that? We're going to detail all of that and more on today's episode.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I'm your boy, Damian Parsons, senior draft analyst over with Bleacher Report. That is my guy, Keith Sanchez, director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 LSU national champion. Thank you so much for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out and thank you for being our everydayers and joining us every single day. On today's episode, we're getting into the Senior Bowl tight ends. We know who tight end 1 and tight end 2 is, but Harold Fannin Jr., Jake Briningstool, and Mason Taylor, they're trying to make more of a name for themselves down in Mobile. But let's get into that. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code, all lowercase, LockedOnNFL, to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Keith, Harold Fannin Jr. can make himself a first-round pick, and we could potentially get three tight ends in round 1 if he balls out in Mobile. This is a guy, Keith, that I will say it till I'm blue in the face. He should have won the John Mackey Award. I don't know how you number 1, maybe number 2 in all of the statistical categories for tight end, and you don't win it. I don't understand that.
He was at a small school, DP, small school, right? You don't get the same credit.
these voters got to get right, Keith. Listen, on the season, Harold Fannin, first of all, 6'4", 230, 6'3", 235. He's got like 33 and some change on the arm, 150 targets, 117 receptions on the season. He also had 1,500 yards receiving, average over 13 yards per catch, 10 touchdowns. And Keith, what I really love about Harold Fannin Jr., he rarely drops the ball. Like throughout his 3-year career at Bowling Green, he has a total of 5 drops. He does not. He's very sure-handed. He brings the ball in. He has a good catch radius. He has good body control, alignment, fluid. You could do different things with him and move him around. And for some people, he's not 6. Like I think Coastal Love is 6'5", 240. Tyler Warren 6'6", 260. We'll see if those measurements or if the schools didn't lie to us, Keith. But for him being 6'3", 230, body type wise, he's gonna be a little different than those guys. But he's a high level pass catcher, and they funneled that passing game through him. Texas A&M didn't have an answer for him. Penn State, Tyler Warren's elite defense, they didn't have an answer for him. This dude can make plays, and I think it's crazy because he's a better blocker than people give him credit for. Like I'm watching this tape, and I'm watching him pancake defensive ends and linebackers and stuff like that, where honestly, I think he might be a better blocker than Tyler Warren, even though Tyler Warren's a bigger body guy than him. I think he has a real shot to make himself a first-round pick down in Mobile.
Yeah, DP, when I think of Harold Fannin, I see the Yak King, right? The yards after catch, right? Even yards after contact. And you watch his style, and it's an angry style. And I did some research on Harold, and I realized he's a former defensive end. And I said, you know what? That tracks so well. He just the way he plays the game is like if you gave a defensive end the football, right? Imagine giving the Bosa brothers the football. What would they do, right? And so when I look at that, DP, I look at Harold Fannin and I think, man, obviously tight end, but what are the different ways that I could employ and use Harold Fannin because he is a big body that runs reckless, right? Like you said, that will block on inline of scrimmage, but he's versatile in the sense of the fact of he can line up at wide receiver. He can play your big slot. He can line up at inline tight end. He can do the H-back role, right? So I think projecting Harold Fannin, I hope that NFL teams are looking at the versatility part of him because I think similar to why Tyler Warren, I feel like draft stock is high because people are talking about all the different things you can do with him. I think the same thing stands for Harold Fannin, right? As far as the versatility. Yeah. Now, the question for Harold, obviously, I think it'll be the movement. I don't say movement skills like he can't move, right? But there's a little bit of tightness and straight line elements to his game and stuff. But I think playing the tight end position, it's not like we're talking about elite athletes across the board, right? Like these, all of these guys are 6'6", so of course sometimes they lumber a little bit, right? But I truly appreciate what Harold Fannin does.
No, 100%. I agree with you. Yeah, because he's got more. It's crazy when you look at Tyler Warren compared to looking at like from a body composition standpoint. Like Harold Fannin is more stocky, he's more muscular. So that body composition and having a little bit of that tight hip tightness, that kind of tracks, right? Like because you are more of a muscle bound frame where and so like for me, it's like you watch him, he's a good route runner for what he brings to the table. He can run routes from X, Y, Z. He moves all around, H back, in line. And I think that alignment versatility with the way offenses have evolved in today's NFL, especially with the mobile quarterbacks, I think my comp for him was initially like in that Isaiah Likely role. Because I think the question, because how you talk about movement skill, I think for him, the question he has to answer at Mobile is, which again, when we get to the combine, if he tests, answer that too. It's going to be more athleticism. Like for me, it's like, what's the raw, pure athlete, like the speed, the explosiveness? The one-on-ones, I think one-on-ones are going to be huge for him, right? When you get matched up with the safeties and different things of that nature, guys who they athletically should be able to run with you, right? Like, can you separate from those guys? Can you pull away when you get vertical, different things like that? I think that's going to be a big part of the process for him, Keith, because I think with his pass catching ability, how secure his hands are, like you said, the yak king, like the physicality he plays with after the catch, like you want a guy like this. I keep watching this weekend, watching the NFL playoffs, right? And I tweeted this out, and just kind of watching the games, I'm like, yeah, the Texans need a playmaking tight end. Dalton Schultz isn't it, like, what I mean? Even the younger version of him at Dallas was a more athletic version of him, but he's just a guy to me. Whereas
he cool, right? Like he's cool.
He's all right. He's solid, but it's like if the weapon, because when you have Tank Dell, you got Stephon Diggs, you got Nico Collins, nobody's keying in on you. Like you could just roam around, button hook 5 yards, get 7, keep us ahead of the chains type of thing. But that team needs a tight end. Like I know they're gonna have to address wide receiver when Diggs come off of ACL. I think Tank Dell might not even play in 2025 this year because of the injury, the dislocation, and everything that he could. I think that was one of the reports. We'll see how it plays out. But there's a chance he might miss the season. Recovering from that. That's how bad of an injury it was. So it's like you lose both of them, like you got to upgrade something. And I think tight end, I think you put a Harold Fannin in this offense for the Texans with CJ Stroud, Bobby Slowik calling plays, things of that nature, the bootlegs, just easy dump offs and letting him be physical and athletic after the catch. What is something you want to see? How can he stamp himself at the Senior Bowl for you?
Yeah, I think it goes down to route running, DP. I want to see how he creates separation because, like I said, part of the straight line, and you worry about if there's some lower body tightness involved with him. I want to see him create separation. Can he create big plays, right? Can he be a true vertical threat down the field? Then also, I know you mentioned the drop passes thing, but I do want to see how much of a natural pass catcher he is, right? Like how smooth does he look running routes, turning around, catching the football, right? Like, so I want to see employing him because I think the physicality part, like we said, this is a former tight end. He's going to get out there and be a bull in a china shop, blocking everything else, right? I want to see the other side of it, which was probably the harder transition for him, is him actually playing tight end. Ball, catching the football, running good routes, the IQ part of it, being a vertical threat. So then that way I can know that, hey, I'm drafting a complete offensive weapon at the tight end position and stamp his name as a top 50 pick, right? Like if you don't go directly in the first round, those next 20 picks after the first round, you're going somewhere in that arena. But DP, let's keep this thing going, man. And we're going where? To your neck of the woods, not too far from. We're going to Clemson University. We're talking about tight end Jake Briningstool and what he's going to do at the Senior Bowl. Coming up next.
Growing your small business in 2025 comes down to how well you can hire. And let's face it, better hires start with smarter insights. That's where LinkedIn comes in. With the strongest hiring data available, LinkedIn helps you identify the right candidates, giving you the confidence to make the best decisions for your business. I've used LinkedIn Jobs myself, and I can tell you it's a game changer when it comes to hiring the right fit. Small businesses are wearing a lot of hats, so every hire is crucial. LinkedIn gets that. That's why they connect you with the best candidates using data you won't find anywhere else. From unique skills and interests to connections you share, LinkedIn helps you find the right person for the job. In fact, 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn has helped them find high-quality candidates. Hire smarter this year and find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. It's playoff time, and if you're like me, you want to make the most of these final weeks of football action. That's where PrizePicks comes in. If you love football and want a chance to win real money while watching the games, PrizePicks is the place for you. It's the best way to turn your sports opinions into cash with daily fantasy player projections. With PrizePicks, you simply pick more or less on player stats like total passing yards or rushing touchdowns, and for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your money. You can make your picks in less than 60 seconds, and whether you're looking for a flex play to boost your payout or want to cash out quickly, PrizePicks has got you covered. And with over 10 million members and billions in winnings, it's clear that people are loving this platform. I can tell you right now, guys, I have a special offer for Locked On NFL listeners. Download the app today and use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Guys, after you play your first $5 lineup, you get $50 instantly. That's PrizePicks. Run your game. Mr. Third round tight end right now, at least. Jake Briningstool, Keith, 6'6", 240 pounds, out of Clemson. 49 receptions, 531 yards, receiving 7 receiving touchdowns. And his numbers aren't indicative of his talent. There, you watch the tape, you watch that Clemson offense, even though Cade Klubnik played much better than he did last year, right? They got to the CFP. If the defense could have got some stops against Texas run game, they could have had a chance to win the upset Texas and win that game. But he doesn't, like, Cade didn't always find Jake Briningstool down the field, and he was open a lot, especially vertically. And at that size, you look at his body type, Keith, he's a little wiry at the tight end spot. I think my comp for him was Mike Gesicki in terms of just athleticism. He's like he's that F tight end. He's that flex tight end, that guy that you're going to put into the slot. You're going to motion out wide. I think he's more of a tight end 2 for a team rather than a pure tight end 1. Well, it depends. If you're a team that wants to run the ball a lot, like, he wouldn't be tight end 1 in Baltimore, because the thing that he struggles with and the thing he's going to have to kind of show us a little bit, not even a little bit, but a lot, is run blocking. When those pads, those full pads come on at the Senior Bowl, he's going to have to block, Keith. But I think pass catching wise, he might be one of the bigger mismatch guys for those second level and even third level defenders, those linebackers and even safeties and one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl. I have him as a third round pick right now, like mid-third round. I think with a strong Senior Bowl, he might be able to move himself up in the day 2, because there's multiple teams that can use an upgrade at the tight end position right now.
Yeah, and I think for him, DP, right, it's not even about him. I think it's notoriety, right? Like, he just get out there and make plays, because I think people are not discussing him at all. So going out there, like you said, with his height, and I believe that he's a smooth kind of route runner, right? Like, he almost reminds you of, instead of even just a tight end, he reminds you of almost like a big wide receiver. You know, like you talk about those power slot type of situations. So I look at that and I say that could be a really good situation for an NFL team. And I agree with you that it lends itself more towards a tight end 2. I'm trying to think of different situations that I would like him in. You know, just looking at different teams. I'm trying to think about that. But I think overall it'll be a good, like, he's a good addition offensively, because he just seems like he does the small things, right? He does the little things correctly, and he could be a passing target for an NFL team.
No, I mean, teams that, you know, I think about, like, even because, again, I think with him at run blocking, he's not the traditional, like, inline where it's like, hey, I want him up against defensive ends, right? Like, do you want him blocking Myles Garrett? Absolutely not. Like, no, I do not. But if you put him at H-back and you tell him be more of a space blocker, right? getting up there to the corner, getting to that linebacker, going to pick off that safety. Yeah, in space, he could be a good blocker for you. And at the line of scrimmage, he's more of a power forward that is a good screener in the NBA. He's going to seal. You know what I mean? He's not going to move you off the ball, right? Like, he's not going to drive you off. No, that's not his game. He doesn't have that type of body. He doesn't have that body type or that physical strength. But I think for teams, you think about the Detroit Lions, having Sam Laporta, you can put him off ball, right? You can put him motion him into the slot, then work let him be kind of a crack or a motion seal on the defensive end or a linebacker to get Jahmyr Gibbs to spring him to the outside. I think about the Chicago Bears. You got Cole Kmet to be that big body inline guy, and he could be more of the H-back tight end 2 for Caleb Williams that just dominates the passing game, especially in the short and intermediate. But he also has that stride. Like you say, he's really smooth, and it's like he does sell blocks well too. So you think about teams that run bunch sets and screens to the wide receiver, he'll sell those and then release upfield on like the wheel, and he's wide open. So, and he has really good ball skills, sees the ball well, he tracks it well, he brings it in. This isn't a guy that I don't believe he has many drops in his career either, similar to Harold Fannin. Yeah, like he's got like 7 in 4 years. You know what I mean? Like he's not, and then in contested catches, he's been good for the most part in contested catches, over 45% completion percentage in contested catch situation. And he averages like 19 to 20 the last 2 years. So I think for him getting to the Senior Bowl, when they asked you to run block, because I can't remember it was a tight end. Was it Davis Allen? I think it was his name, coming out of Clemson a couple years ago.
Yeah, a couple years ago.
And we watched him struggle in the one-on-one, like man down, man blocking situation, those power blocks. I'm like, yeah, that's tough. But as a pass catcher, he's good. So I think he's like tight end 3 with the Rams, or he was like tight end 3 with the Rams behind Higbee and stuff like that. So I think a Jake Briningstool, a good week in Mobile, being functional as a run blocker. You don't have to be Rob Gronkowski. I think those, like, we're not looking for that anymore unless you're built like Rob. If you're built like Gronk, then yes, we need you to do the Gronk-like things. But we're not looking for that. I mean, like Brock Powers. Brock Powers is a high-level pass catcher. He's just an average blocker. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want Brock blocking TJ Watt. I know I don't. I want him getting to the linebacker. I want to get into the safety, picking off that corner, seal, and let my running back get out there and lead him to daylight, right? I don't want him in line trying to go up and battle with defensive ends. That the body type it's not an advantage for him, right? So we're not looking for the Rob Gronkowski stuff no more, Keith. Just be functional, but be a good enough pass catcher where we can feature you. Let's say 60% of the offensive snaps, we can get some good play out of you.
Yeah, and I think I was thinking about teams, right? Washington Commanders, right? Like, they need to upgrade then. Like, Jaden is getting this done, in winning and everything, and in the NFC Championship. And this is before they really kind of injected a bunch of talent around him, right? Like this is still just, especially the receiving core,
which is scary.
Yeah, which is, it makes you really nervous. Your other team. But yes, I look at that part of it. Like, he'll be good in there, right? Like a true pass catcher, a big body, work the middle of the field for Jaden, right? Like, he has an outlet to go to, just overall. So I think of places like that. And then they have Ben Sinnott, who's another versatile piece. Like, obviously I compare him to like Kyle's Juszczyk type situation, but that gives you versatility where sometimes potentially you could put both of them on the field because they give you 2 different elements, right?
100%.
And they can align 2 different places. They don't need to play the same exact position because of how versatile they are in their alignment. So I think
his ability to just be a big wide receiver, like with Jaden Daniels, you motion him into the slot, you get him up. Jaden, I think they kept saying this, and I saw people tweeting it during the game too. It's like, if Jaden sees what you're in pre-snap, it's a wrap. Like, it's over for you. If he identifies what you're in, he's going to find the mismatch, the vulnerable spot, and he's going to attack it. So you think about it, give him a big body tight end pass catcher like a Jake Briningstool. He gets into the slot and he looks and like, oh, that's a linebacker. This man, so he get a little pre-snap motion with Jake. Oh, his man coverage. Say that's all I need to see right there. His first read is probably going to Jake because he's like, all right, I know what we got called for him. We got man-to-man coverage against a 6'1", 230-pound linebacker. My guy's 6'5", 6'6", 235 with long arms and a long body. Like, yeah, I can throw it up and let him go ahead and make the play. And I think Jake Briningstool also will be a good red zone option for any offense that he goes into because of his ball skills and his size. This tight end class, man, like, yeah, we know who we got the top 2 guys, but like Harold Fannin, Jake Briningstool, yeah, like these guys have a case to start moving themselves up with strong weeks in Mobile.
Yeah, with DP, we're not going to just finish this off with Clemson Tigers, right? We got to finish this off with the LSU Tigers.